Hello, my name is Christine DiCarlo, and I'm the American Association of Colleges of Osteopathic Medicines, or AACOM's, Media and Public Affairs Manager. I'm joined today by 4 members of the Osteopathic Medical Education, or OME community, who participated in AACOM's Advocacy Day last October. They, along with hundreds of others, urged Congress to 1. Remove discriminatory restrictions on DOs at federally funded graduate medical education, or GME programs. 2. Increase National Institutes of Health research funding for osteopathic medical schools. 3. Strengthen rural GME. And 4. Authorize health profession students to vaccinate during public health emergencies. Thanks to their efforts, significant progress has been made on these issues, and we are excited to speak with them about their reflections on the event, their thoughts on the importance of advocacy, and why they think everyone in OME should become a strong voice for the profession. Thank you all so much for joining me today to discuss this important topic. Let's begin with some brief introductions.
Thank you, Christine. I'm Dr. Thomas Told. I am at Rocky Vista University right now. I'm the interim associate dean in charge of the Utah campus.
Hi, I'm Dr. Natasha Bray. I'm internal medicine, and I'm the interim dean of the Cherokee Nation campus of Oklahoma State University College of Osteopathic Medicine.
Hi, my name is Vina Francis. I'm a second-year medical student at Nova Southeastern College of Osteopathic Medicine in their Clearwater campus.
Hi, everyone. My name is Una Hadjihmatrich, and I am a second-year medical student at AACOM, so the Arizona College of Osteopathic Medicine at Midwestern University.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all again for joining me today. We'll get started with our first question. Was AACOM Advocacy Day your first advocacy experience, or are you a more seasoned advocate?
Well, I have been involved with advocacy ever since the mid-90s when I was president of the Colorado Society of Osteopathic Medicine, and then, continued that as the national president of ACOFP, and then being the first dean of a dean of the first for-profit medical school in the United States. We found ourselves in Washington, D.C. often.
I actually got involved in advocacy when I was a student. So I started participating in AACOM's and the AOA's advocacy efforts at that time, and I've really been engaged for most of my professional career. I think it's really important for us to engage in advocacy and talk about the issues that are affecting education, osteopathic medicine, as well as the health of our patients, and make sure that we put those in the forefront so that they don't get forgotten.
This was actually my first experience with advocacy. I had previously thought I didn't really want to get into politics at all and just ignore it. But my administration had reached out because of one of my positions as a student for them. And they were like, hey, would you like to go? And I was like, sure, we'll try it. It was actually a really, really great experience. So I'm definitely glad to not only share that with you guys, but also to have shared that with our congressmen and women. So thank you.
So I have a similar experience to Vina through a position that I have at my school, the COSGP legislative rep position. My dean reached out to me and asked if I would want to join. So this was my first experience, and it was awesome. I think it really probably has changed the way I'm going to do my career now, because I'm really interested in this.
Oh, that's really great to hear. Wonderful. Okay, so some new advocates and some more seasoned advocates. So second question, why is advocacy important, and why should everyone in the OME community advocate?
I think one of the important things about advocacy is we build it up in our mind to be something bigger than what it is. As members of the osteopathic profession, as educators, as students, as physicians, we have a really important role in caring for communities, in promoting health, in creating educational systems that allow people to continue to do those things into the future. And if we are not advocating for ourselves and the values that we contribute to promotion of health within our communities, and really every day working to do a better job to care for patients in a more meaningful way, then we're missing an opportunity that's critical to what our responsibility is when we enter the healing profession.
Legislators rely on experts from, particularly from their district. And as physicians, we become the health experts for the regions that they represent. And I think they lean heavily on their local opinion.
I think if every medical student were to take the few minutes to start to spread awareness, or to take the few hours on Advocacy Day to talk to our congressmen and women, I think that that would make such a difference, because even just speaking with them, I was so surprised how responsive to our requests they were. And 2 out of the 3 were genuinely seemed interested and were like, I really think that we could do something with this, and were very interested in us following up. And that was really exciting as a student to see, like, simply taking a few hours out of my day makes such an impact, and that they have a direct line to people who can actually make a difference for osteopathic medical education. And that's really inspiring. And I'm so excited to be a part of that. And I feel like by sharing that, we can continue empowering more people.
Before this experience, I think I had a different idea of what it was, that it would be some big, huge event. And I realized that just me and a couple other people from my school can speak to our congressmen and women, and that they did all genuinely seem interested. And it was just really eye-opening to see that just a meeting for, I think it was maybe 20 minutes or something, just a pretty short meeting can actually make that big of an impact.
So for our third question, of the 4 issues you advocated for on October 7th, which resonated with you most strongly? And if it's more than one of the issues or all 4 of the issues, you can feel free to elaborate beyond just one.
You know, as a rural Western state, we were, resonated most with the rural GME rules. Our mission is to provide physicians in the rural areas, and a lot of times the rules are stacked against us. Most of the 4 students that were in our group were very passionate about that. Not that the others are not important, but we really felt like that probably rural advocacy, was first of all received very well by many of the staffers, and because we were passionate about that, I think we advocated strongest for that particular one.
I feel like the NIH funding was really interesting. I am currently trying to direct a clinical trial on the effects of osteopathic manipulative therapy on osteoarthritis compared to current standards of care. And I didn't even know that we could apply for grants or apply for funding. And it was almost as though my people guiding me through this and my mentors didn't even think that it was worth applying for. And I think that that's so interesting, that I'm doing everything I can to further the osteopathic medical community and prove efficacy of the 400 hours that we spend as students training to learn these techniques. And it's almost as though it doesn't matter, because it's not viewed as credible. And so my efforts to make it credible are almost negated, because it's like, oh, it's not even worth funding. It's ridiculous. So I feel like it's kind of a slap in the face. And I am really glad that we're addressing this issue, because if we make up 25% of the medical students graduating, I feel like it's very unfair that we make up 0.1% of the grants, because we also want these opportunities.
I think probably the issue that struck home the most with me personally was the concept of DO parity. I think it's unacceptable for our students to feel that they have to take 2 sets of licensing boards to be successful within the GME arena. So that's something that just sets wrong with me from a fundamental fairness standpoint. Licensing exams are to ensure public safety. They're about making sure that physicians have minimal competency to practice. They were never designed or developed to be used as gatekeepers into GME training. So then to allow them to be used as a gatekeeper and to be used in a discriminatory fashion to keep people out of certain specialty programs just is fundamentally unfair, especially when that is being funded by taxpayer dollars.
To follow up on the issues you were most passionate about, which issues would you say resonated most strongly with the members of Congress and their staff that you met with during your congressional visits?
I believe every person that we met with, they were pretty shocked, I guess, that we need to go through these two different licensing exams when, like Dr. Braid mentioned, it's not, the licensing exams are never meant to be like that, to be like a gatekeeper for positions, that are just to test for the minimal competencies of a physician.
Well, I would say the rural issue for sure. I think the others, there was a little bit of a combination of education and advocacy on some of the others that some of the other staffers. But I really do believe that Congress is tuned in to the rural problem, of access. You consider 44% of our residents live outside of metro areas. And yet we have a system that is only designed mainly for metro areas. So I think that they get it. I think what we have to do is, and what they're asking us to do, is to give them some real-time, on-the-ground solutions to go ahead and do that. And it's a problem that's existed ever since I've been advocating in Congress. So, it's something that we need to continue to work on. I thought that was probably the one that resonated the most.
I was really surprised on how fast they picked up on the concept of parity around the licensing exams, and that was being used as selection criterion to keep people with certain degree programs out of certain programs. Two or three of our offices really grabbed hold of that and were really interested. And I think they were looking at it through the perspective of, Oklahoma needs doctors. And if we're doing things that are limiting people's training opportunities, we're potentially limiting communities from getting the doctors that they need to meet their healthcare needs. So it was something that they really latched onto, and really were willing to work with us and AACOM to figure out how we can make meaningful change in that arena.
Just curious if AACOM Advocacy Day inspired you to continue advocating in the future or to encourage others to advocate.
Well, I certainly enjoyed the old advocacy days when we went to Washington, D.C. and probably even developed a feeling that it had to be in person, in their office. We had to walk 10 miles during that day from one side to the other in order to be effective advocacy. And I think if this taught me one thing, that we can advocate virtually pretty effectively. And so I have to say, since AACOM Advocacy Day, I have communicated with my senators and congressmen a lot more virtually than ever before. And I think that and honestly, I think I've seen some results from that.
I think it was really exciting. It was exciting to see it work, and it work in a different way. It challenged kind of how we traditionally have thought about relationship building and that type of engagement. And I think it gives me a lot of hope for what we're able to do and who can actually engage in advocacy. I mean, Dr. Toll touched on, we have a representative government. So the more people who have access, who are able to engage in a way that's meaningful, I think the better result we get in the end.
I definitely feel like while this was my first experience, it certainly won't be my last. I don't necessarily know where I'll find the time to do it all, but I know how important it is. And I really enjoyed sharing that with my peers and my friends. And they actually had a really positive response to it. So I feel like if we were able to open up more opportunities and to make student level advocacy more accessible, I feel like they would, not all of them, but I feel like at least a few of them would be interested in starting to learn that for themselves.
So following your Advocacy Day experience, what advice would you share with someone who is advocating for the first time?
Pick a topic that you are passionate about and make a little speech or a little blurb so that you can be quick and respectful of everyone's time, but also your passion will come out if it's something that you really want to help make a change in.
Really think about how that policy that you're talking about should matter to them. So how does it affect people in their district? How is it going to affect people who are going to be voting, potential voters for them? And really try to personalize those stories as much as possible.
Be confident and know that your voice really does matter to them. And the more that we work together, the more our voice is heard. And I think that that's so important, is just to make sure that the fear doesn't get the best of you, and just to go in and do what you can. And your best is good enough.
Most of all, is I think that you need to spend a little time to refine your message so that it's clear and concise, and that you have, a couple of talking points. These people's time is very important, and a clear, concise message is stronger. In this case, less is greater. And then, be on time, be yourself, and, be accommodating, because sometimes the meetings will change, and you need to be accommodating with a smile, and, go ahead and do that, because again, this is a lot about salesmanship of a very important message that you go ahead and carry.
Yeah, all of that's really, really helpful advice, from the practical to the more concrete, what to do in a meeting. So this is a trove of great knowledge to share. So thank you. So for our final question, what was your favorite part about Advocacy Day?
My favorite part was to accept a challenge to go ahead and advocate for 2 states, and to see our students really go ahead and stand up to that, to that particular challenge. It wasn't quite the same doing it virtually, but I would say it was just as valuable, and we got a lot of the feelings in a little bit different way.
My favorite part of Advocacy Day was really watching the students grow. Seeing them before the event, when we had our prep meeting, and kind of talking them through the process, through the issues that we were going to discuss, and then seeing them really morph into professionals. We see them every day with their scrubs on and getting ready for their exams and running all over the place. And then you get this opportunity to really see the professionals that they are, and the professionals that they're going to be. And it's really this amazing moment, because you feel pride in who they are, and the skills that they have, and the passion that they have for our profession and for their future patients. And it reminds me why I love my job, and why I am so lucky to get to be engaged as an educator and with the osteopathic profession, to see them step into those professional roles, and to grow and have such confidence and such skill in what they're doing. And I just love it.
Going through that whole day, just from the beginning, like from the first meeting to the last meeting, I felt like such a change in not only how I viewed myself, but how I viewed these issues. And even in that short 3-hour period, I feel like they became my issues, and they are. And I feel like that ownership and that accountability was my favorite part, in addition to how simple it was to advocate for those and to be a part of the conversation.
I just felt a sense of community, that we were all advocating for these same issues, no matter what side of the country we were on, what school we were at. It was just something that was important to all of us. And I just felt a great sense of community. And that was another one of my favorite parts.
I just really want to sincerely thank you all, Dr. Toll, Dr. Bray, Vina, and Una, for taking the time to speak with us about this really important topic. I'm sure that you will be inspiring many others to advocate, and your insights are extremely appreciated. So thank you all so much again for taking the time.